Let's see, Clay, did you get both the videos that I sent you?
I got one.
Okay. Oh, maybe I didn't hit. Oh, there was an. Oh, that's a shame.
No way.
There was an error loading the Goofy video. Maybe we'll just have to upload that separately. That would be much worse for everybody involved. All right. Well, anyway, we'll talk about the one that I did get to you that I know we've got. But the city commission, I was kind of shocked, voted not to move forward at this time with the second reading of the amended. What is it? Is it a bill? Is it an ordinance?
It's an ordinance.
And the amended ordinance that would really put a stranglehold on some of the local bars downtown. It was a 2-2 decision, which means that technically was a fail for the city in moving forward with this. Now, I want to... Can we throw on the headphones? Because I actually want to get your opinion on this, Troy.
All right.
What, do I not have headphones over here?
Oh, I had to move them the other day to the other side there by Troy.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't necessarily need to hear it. I know what they said, but if you guys want to... Okay, thanks.
There you go.
All right.
I think you're plugged in.
All right. Boy, we're great at this. Hey, I can hear myself. Yeah, there we go. All right.
Now your cord's on my cord.
Yeah. Can you hear? Can you hear me, Troy?
I can.
Can you hear me? Boy, we look stupid. We look like we've never done this before. All right. Let's see. So Clay, if you could roll that, this is them reading roll. This is them rejecting, and then
yes, Roxanne
the city
Morgan?
attorney.
Yes. Jim Springfield.
No.
Cynthia Garris.
No.
Right.
All right. Well, you've got a tie, which means it's a technical non-passage.
Correct.
And so what is your desire? Do you wish to still have a workshop to talk about it, or simply let this one go?
So they're going to go ahead with talking about it, but I want to...
Workshop. I just think it's too
I want to
early.
talk about the city attorney's next answer
I'm not
here.
worried about October 1st. I know it's a lot of work on staff. It's a lot of...
Okay. When they ask how to bring this back, go for it, Troy. What do you got so far?
First off, the reason they're talking about October 1st is the state put a rule in place on small municipalities to put in ordinances after October 1st. They're required to do an economic impact.
Oh, so they're trying to get around doing an economic impact.
That was one of the things that's why they were kind of pushing it.
Okay.
And the fact that Commissioner Springfield brought that up is like, no, this is important that we do an economic impact if it's going to pass.
Okay.
And that was part of my big thing is we don't know who this all is going to affect.
Right.
And without that impact, we won't know that.
Right.
So, some of the rules they have in there, I kind of get, but it's still, to me, not necessary for where we're at right now.
Okay.
And that I wanted to explain that October 1 statement.
Okay.
Because it was very important. And I don't think everybody else understood what it was because of the state, the rule that the state had put in place.
Okay,
so.
Cool. Thank you very much.
But I think we do this right and not rush it. So I think a workshop first.
So we'll go.
And your intent was to have a city commission type workshop, a full public meeting where folks would come here. It'd be noticed on a special day maybe or earlier?
Yes, have the business association notify different people, the hotels and things that it's going to...
Making sure everybody's included in this conversation.
It's just your court wanted to know, is she supposed to try and find a special day to do this outside of a city commission meeting? Yes. Okay. We've got our direction.
All right. So now we'll have... Okay, procedurally... how will we bring this first reading back?
This is an interesting answer.
Well,
what would be the procedure to bring it back?
If we're going to be Robert's rules strict,
legally,
someone who is on the winning side of the motion would have to bring it back up. But in truth, it's a legislative decision, and you don't have a plenary board right now. So we could always bring it back at any time. It really is a legislative decision of the commission to bring it back. But preferably, per Robert's rules, it's the person or people who are on the winning side of a motion that can bring it back.
So explain this to me, Troy.
Okay. So if you lose a vote, the only the winning side of the vote can bring it back. All right. Because there was a commissioner missing. All right. That commissioner is kind of a gray area of who can bring it back.
Okay.
But to stay 100% clear and clean, the only two people that can bring it back are Cynthia Garris and Jim Springfield.
Okay.
Commissioners Garris and Commissioner Springfield. But the second part of her comment had to do with not having a full board.
Okay.
And that's where she was, okay, it wasn't a clear 3-2 vote. So it kind of gets a little gray with the other commissioner that was not present.
Okay, so
because that one technically did not lose the vote.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Blunder did not lose the vote.
So what I was concerned about was in those comments, it almost made it sound like since there wasn't a full commission, it's kind of a gray area, and any commissioner could bring it back. Did you interpret it that way, or am I misinterpreting it a little bit?
Well, you got to understand the city commissioner works for, or the city attorney works for the commission, and she's trying to keep peace with what she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she's having a conversation with both the mayor and Horvath, saying you probably shouldn't bring this back. If they bring it back, there could be some pushback from the restaurants from the opposing side.
Okay.
So I strongly suggest that if it comes back from Commissioner Garris or it comes back from Commissioner Springfield.
Okay. All right. That'll be interesting to see if it does.
Yeah.
And they want to go ahead with the workshop that was planned for in between this reading and the next reading anyway. So they're still going to kind of have a public forum, let more people share their input on this, and then decide how they move forward. Then
it'll be a first reading again.
Okay.
Because if this one's kind of a dead one now.
Right.
So there has to be another first reading before. A first reading has to pass to go to second reading before it can become an ordinance.
And refresh my memory, did the first reading pass the last time the first reading did?
It did.
Okay. And so did we get to a second reading last time and then it was denied?
We never did. All of a sudden,
somebody was running for mayor.
Yeah, some people had political things, and it got slowed down. And then they
so she knows that people don't want this.
They threw the RHI study in the middle of it last time.
Okay.
And the results of the RHI didn't come back the way everybody wanted them to come back. And then all of a sudden it's like, let's redo this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still a work in progress.
Yeah. Even though everybody has pretty much
I don't know why I still have my headphones in.
Yeah, me neither. You look kind of weird. So everybody has pretty much agreed against this. The study agreed against this. The people do not want this. The majority of the commission at this point, well, half of the commission doesn't want this right now, at least. Mm-hmm. But the mayor's still trying to really force this through. I mean, it's like this is her own personal agenda, and she's not at all considering any of the folks that have said this is just not a good idea, including the company they hired to study the situation in the first place.
Consultants, really?
Right.
And the consultant wasn't a yes or no, a solid yes or no up and down.
Okay.
But it didn't give the, you have to do this big support for it. It's basically said, you have some problems, but your problems aren't that bad.
Okay. Yeah.
That's pretty, and it's like a 60-page report that basically they spent $70,000 on that anybody who's involved could have recognized exactly what was going on and what they said.
Yeah.
It was like a Captain Obvious report.
Yeah. Well,
we should have hired consultant Captain Obvious.
Yeah. You think the guy from the commercials would have been fine with that?
Oh, he'd have been perfect.
Yeah. Been that same outcome. Outcome. Well, I got to tell you, it was people were out there in force. I mean, the room was full. They actually had to not because anybody was rowdy, but they actually had to kick a couple people out because there were just too many people. Mm-hmm. There were just too many people in there at one point. So, a lot of people very, very passionate about this. Folks from PK spoke up. Folks from, of course, No Name. A lot of the bars, many of the bars and restaurants in downtown spoke up and spoke out against this.
Well, and they got to keep their voice, and that's part of the problem with it last time is there was a lot of like we're super engaged, and then you get busy running your own business.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you're having to work with the people that sometimes you're fighting for the same patrons of.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay, everyone in this situation has to work together on this to, you know, this is your livelihood.
Yeah.
This is their, you know, how they make a living.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So one of the questions I threw at some people yesterday is like, you know, we have hotels that has room service. Does that mean after 12 you can order room service, but you can't get a drink?
Right. And that's the wishy-washy part of things like this.
That's weird.
Is who gets caught in the crossfire?
We're all
you know?
adults. Yeah.
So, I mean, and those are some things that just don't make sense. I mean, you know, people that are already in for the night can't have a drink.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
come
there's
on.
So is that why they're going to workshop it? Is that
No, that's just one of the holes in the
okay?
ordinance. There's a lot of holes in the ordinance, in my opinion, on how they handle. Like one of the things I brought up about staff. Like, how do you define staff?
Right.
Do you, as a trivia host, qualify as staff if you're on premise and working by the bar?
You're a subcontractor.
And then, you know, one of the commissioners goes, "Oh, well, you're a contractor." Well, our entire staff at our hotel's contractors.
Yeah.
So where do you
draw that
where does that line? I mean, you can't have gray areas in laws that you're going to try and enforce.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Seems like a waste of time.
Well, it would seem that way, but we'll see how it shakes out. Maybe there's a good compromise that can be found, or maybe there's not. You know, maybe the commission's just wrong on this.
Yeah, I mean, and there needs to be some self-policing, and there needs to be, you know, one of the things that said, well, if we do this, we're going to have a magistrate that'll be of the staff, you know, of the restaurateurs and stuff like that.
Right.
And, you know, I'm like, yeah, but who's going to assign that?
Mm-hmm.
Are they, you know, that's people don't naturally trust government.
Right.
You know, so it's one of those things that's really, really challenging.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what comes of this workshop, what comes from here on out. But obviously, we got to keep up with this one, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, but it was good to see a lot of the community come out last night and make their voices heard, man.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about, and you can open people's eyes when you come out and make good points. And I thought everybody was, unlike some meetings I've been to, everybody was very respectful. It wasn't a situation of, you know, we can't stand you, commission, because you're always in our way and this and that. They weren't berating anybody. Nobody was yelling at anybody. There
was at one point where one of the people that live downtown in opposition, and they're wonderful people. The family that I'm talking about, they're wonderful people, and they've lived downtown their family's been down there for 100 years. And they said, listen, we like having the nightlife, but you know, people threw cocktail glass through our window.
Yeah, I heard that. Sure.
So I mean, those type of families I do want to protect. And
sure.
And
you got to understand their point of view.
There was a time where I'm not sure who was in the audience because I was watching on the TV, and those are the things you've got to control. You got to allow them to have their voice if you want to give your voice.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what was exactly said, what was in the room, but I know
everybody was still very respectful. Yeah. But nobody was like, "Boo, shut up."
But I mean, even when they were saying it, they're like, "Listen, we want to have good business." Like I said, they're quality people. A couple of the people that were there, and everyone should be allowed to have their voice equally. Yep,
absolutely, man, absolutely. So yeah, the restaurant world definitely was the loudest voice in the room, for sure. They're trying to, like you said, keep their livelihoods alive.